We'll take a look now at a story from Nigeria. On Thursday, the National Broadcasting Commission prohibited Nigerian radio and television stations from airing Idris Abdulkarim's new song titled Tell Your Papa, which was released on Monday this week. In the song, the rapper criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic policies, accusing him of making too many empty promises. He also called on President Tinubu's son, Sheikh Tinubu, to convey the hardships faced by Nigerians to his father. The NBC, in a memo, stated that the song was deemed to violate Section 318 of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and advised various stations to exercise discretion and refrain from airing the music to maintain responsible broadcasting standards, adding that it considered the song's content to be inappropriate and objectionable. Dr. Abati, Abdulkarim again is back in the news. We know that his previous song, I believe it's Nigeria Jaga Jaga, was banned, by radio during President Olusegun Obasanjo's reign in 2004. Now we are seeing almost the same, sort of ban coming on his song. But we know that Jaga Jaga became some sort of anthem after that ban.
Okay, censorship has been one of the major problems that artists have faced in the world in the past. Even Copernicus was censored. Even other writers were censored, including the man that created the Protestant movement and all of that. So many books, so many songs in history that were banned and burnt. But many of those, artistic works have been revealed to be works that contain truths, that told the truths about the world. Even Galileo Galilei, when he said that the world was round and not flat, it was, sanctioned. Even Cicero had his tongue pulled out of his mouth because they said he was saying things that were not acceptable, not fit to be broadcast, and that he didn't exercise discretion. I use the word not fit to be broadcast because that's what Section 3.1.8 of the National Broadcasting Code of Nigeria is relying upon. Now, here, we're dealing first with censorship and the futility of it, and the abrogation, the abbreviation of the right to freedom of expression under Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution. In the United States, they will call it the First Amendment. Now, the NBC operationalizes a subsidiary regulation. Are we dealing here with overreach on the part of the National Broadcasting Commission? There have been issues about the current extant NBC code, and now they arrived at some of those provisions in that code. Now, the discretion that they are talking about, that should also be a question that the people running the National Broadcasting Code should ask themselves about the quality of their discretion, about the quality of the maturity that they bring to the work. But that's another question for another day. But we see censorship as a form of dictatorship. And the Tinubu administration must resist dictatorship, particularly with the freedom of the imagination, with the freedom of the artist. Second, this is not the first time that Abdulkarim will face this kind of situation. In 2004, that was when he released Jaga Jaga, Nigeria Scatter Scatter. Even President Obasanjo directly attacked him because of that. I think that particular song was also sanctioned. But the limit of censorship is that when you censor something, when you ban something, you can even promote it. Nigeria Jaga Jaga, Nigeria Scatter Scatter became almost a national anthem, in spite of the ban in 2004. In 2024, this same Idris Abdulkarim released a song titled Emilokan, in which he criticized President Tinubu. And now he has released this one, say, tell your papa, in which he's sending Sheyi Tinubu to his father to say, look, Nigeria is not okay. People are hungry. People are this and that. What the NBC has done by banning people, by misapplying and misinterpreting Section 39 of the Constitution, is that people now will begin to go and look for this song.
Yes.
What we teach students in the field is about how you can use song as satire. So I think that this is a satirical song, and many Nigerians may now have been motivated by the National Broadcasting Commission to go and look for it, to find out satire. So banning things, banning knowledge, banning expression did not work in the 12th century. It did not work in the 13th century. It did not work in the 19th century. It's not likely to work now.
All right. Well said, Dr. Abati. Well, we'll take another story now. The controversy surrounding President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointments has taken center stage in social discourse. Tinubu's appointments have been criticized for allegedly favoring his tribesmen and women over other Nigerians. Last week, Senator Ali Ndume, an APC lawmaker, publicly accused the president of violating the federal character principle in his appointments. Well, in response to these allegations, the presidency released a list of appointees and their geopolitical zones, revealing a notable underrepresentation of the Southeast and a significant number of appointments from the Southwest, the president's home region. However, critics pointed out that the list was incomplete. Notably missing was the president's chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. Well, in response, Sunday Dare, the president's special advisor on media and public communication, apologized for the errors in the list and promised an updated version. Rimbai, I know that you saw this Sunday Dare's tweet that was trending. I believe that he has deleted it. Let me just read some parts of the tweet that he put out, because he also, published the lists as well with this tweet. Sunday Dare wrote, President Tinubu and appointments. On this issue of appointments by the Tinubu administration, it is important to state that President Bola Tinubu is a detribalized leader. His antecedents before he even became president speak to this fact. As Lagos governor, President Tinubu populated his government with competent hands, both from within and outside Lagos, not minding which tribe you come from. People tend to isolate new appointments so far made by the president to examine them with a tribal lens, but it's too early to conclude that appointments are lopsided. Tinubu has barely completed 2 years in office. There are plenty more appointments still coming. Well, Sunday Dare, we are still waiting for that list. But let me just, reel out, the numbers of the list that he had published. According to the geopolitical zone, I believe there were about 29 from the Southwest as well. Then we saw 25 people from the North Central, 24 from Northeast, 35 from Northwest, 22 from South-South, and, 15 from the Southeast. We saw that, that was some of the outrage we saw. Because it did show that, some sort of lopsidedness. But I saw a lot of people from the Northwest, Vimbai. In the meantime, before I come to you, a report from the Sun newspaper claims that the federal government has decided to disregard the 70-30% ratio for career diplomats and political appointees in the recent list of ambassadorial nominees. The report quoted a source from within the ministry, stating that the list is currently undergoing screening by security agencies or political figures, such as former senator representing Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, former aviation minister Femi Fani-Kayode, and former presidential aide Reno Omokri have been reported in the media as part of the nominees undergoing screening. I believe that they said that the source also expressed concern that the move prioritizes political interests over career expectations of diplomats, potentially leading to inadequate representation for the country. That is the source from, the Sun newspaper quoting. We did see those names. They are not verified, but we saw those names and people are screaming, Reno Omokri, Femi Fani-Kayode, and all of that. Your thoughts on the stories?
Well, there's a lot to unpack, but let's begin with the issue of federal character that we touched on earlier in the program. And I think all of this is about, shall we call it empowerment? Because when you look at, it's about trying to create representation. So the principle of federal character is about ensuring that there is fairness in the representation of every geopolitical zone when it comes to the decision-making bodies of this country. Of course, we know the antithesis of this is where we are coming from. We are coming from a place where there has been disunity, where there's been marginalization. Various groups feel that way. So this is something that was supposed to bring everybody to the table, create unity, and create a sense of inclusion for all involved. Now, this particular issue raised by Senator Alin Dume, he's not the first person to raise this issue. This has been raised several times in the past. And of course, when you look at the list, people are saying that this particular tribe, the Yoruba tribe, is dominant. So even if you break it up and you say Southwest and so forth, Southwest and into the various geopolitical zones, they're saying that, well, the majority there are still Yoruba. That's number one. Number two is that there were a number of names missing. From there, I believe the most recent appointments from NNPC were not reflected there. There's a number of names that people are saying, like you said, Femi Gbajabiamila was not there.
Yes.
So how can we say that this is a robust list of the political appointments that have been made? Now, I understand the strategy at play because when former President Buhari was criticized of the same thing, his advisors also did the same thing. They released a list that stated each of the geopolitical zones represented. Now, in all fairness to him, when we looked at that, because remember President Buhari was often accused of always prioritizing the north, the north, the north. But when you look at the breakdown, it was distributed across different tribes in the north. Is that a justification? Well, that's one of the arguments. But for this, people are saying that we now wait for the final list because this was supposed to vindicate you, but it seems you now created more hot soup for yourselves. People have the statistics. Let's see what they will share for us now. 2 years down the line, federal character is supposed to be implemented from the beginning. Another challenge is the fact that federal quota in and of itself, federal character, is not a quota. So the Constitution doesn't say that this is the number of people that has to represent each place. It speaks of fairness. So maybe that's something that needs to be looked into until we get to a place where there can be that equality in representation. Now, 2 years without ambassadors is absolutely just shocking. Yesterday there was some criticism around, not just yesterday, throughout this week, there's been criticism around the president being in France for a working visit and the fact that we don't even have an ambassador there, and then reports saying that, well, the French president himself is actually not in France at the moment. He's here somewhere in Africa attending to some business. And we just ask ourselves all of this in the absence, who is representing Nigeria? Who is holding fort for the nation at the moment, where the world is at a massive precipice? Conversations are being had. Diplomacy is what's leading right now. But we don't have anybody to represent us in these high-level conversations at the moment. So many things to unpack.
We are waiting for Sunday Diary's updated list. This representation that we are asking for. And we are seeing this story from the Sun newspaper. Your thoughts?
So see, this is my mindset as regards federal character. It should not just be about where you are from. It should also be about the competence of the individual. And if you look hard enough, across every area, over 774 local government areas in this country, we have competent people, we have standard people. The accusation that I've also made is the fact that, see, it's tilted more towards the Yoruba tribe. I'm a Yoruba man, I'm telling you this. And I want a level of fairness. See, you will look at that list and you'll see a lot of North Central. Like some of these NNPC appointments recently made. They will claim they're from North Central, but they're from Yoruba ethnic group. And that's just what it has become. When people start to have that perception that, oh, it's a Yoruba government, that's not fair. And a leader must absolve themselves from all of this. See, let's go back to the Civil War. These were exactly the concerns during the Civil War. Federal character has always been a big issue. We all even set up a Federal Character Commission. We must be able to have a level of balancing, and that must start from the perspective of the leader. The leader must be able to incorporate many parts. It has to be said. Mm-hmm. Please correct me if I'm wrong. During Olusegun Obasanjo's time, did we ever have a need to say it was a Yoruba-based government? No. In fact, the accusation against Olusegun Obasanjo then was that it was a Southeast government, an Igbo government, because he embraced a lot of people from the Southeast. So that's what we are talking about. And you see, I do not like the vituperations and the jerking reactions from the presidency, because when you make any comment, they think you are attacking them. No, we want the best for the country. Right. They should stop this constant case of Jakboroism. Jakboro fidgety.
What does it mean?
Jakboro means you wiggle. You are so quick to respond. No. And Ali Ndume was apt when he said, we know that their foot soldiers are going to come at me. Yeah. So please, let us remove that. Secondly, I have not gotten the empirical list. I don't want to comment based on not having empirical facts. All right. But if the feelers I'm hearing as regards the quality of persons being considered for ambassadorial position, Nigeria has become a joke. All right. It is dancing wiggle, 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 wiggle.
All right, Rufai, you and your words. But you know, my dad asked me once to ask you, Rufai. You said Werekpe. What is Werekpe? He wants to know.
Means Werekpe.
When you criticize them, it affects them like Werekpe. Dr. Abati, your thoughts?
Look, what we're dealing with is a problem at the heart of the Nigerian national question.
Yes.
It speaks to the fact that we're not yet a nation. We're a country whereby everything is looked at from the prism of religion and ethnicity. Every Nigerian that gets to power at the center plays the politics of proximity, plays the politics of what Matthew Kuka calls the Maronization of power, and does not also feel safe with people from other parts of Nigeria. You want your own people, thinking that your own people are the ones that will make you safe. That's why, go and check. When they appoint a chief security officer, ADC and all that, they usually pick people from their areas. So, and this problem has been there. It was part of the reason for the Civil War. Decree number 34 of 1966, the Unification Decree introduced by Onronsi. People say, oh, this was supposed to help Igbos because, an Igbo man was there, and they looked at the government and they said Igbos were dominating everywhere. We have not recovered from that root cause in this country. That's why I have argued elsewhere that this federal character that we're talking about, yes, there is the whole purpose under Section 14, sub 3 of the Constitution is about equity, fairness,
that's it.
Diversity.
That's it.
But also, there should be an emphasis on competence, ability. The president of Nigeria, in dispensing patronage, I said over 5,000 positions that can be dispensed by the federal government of Nigeria. It is up to the president to make sure that there is fairness, equity. But should we get to a point in this country? That's the question. That's the question. When we should say there should be meritocracy.
Yes.
I'm sitting here, wasting volumes of saliva every day. But in this same country, you have touts in important positions.
You are correct.
You have Division 3 persons in important positions.
Yeah, I was told Agbero is tout. Agberos.
No, my definition yesterday, I said street tax collectors.
This is a tout. Touts are street tax collectors.
No, well, I didn't use the word tout. I said street tax collectors.
Go ahead.
That's the elegant that I used. So this is this country where you have Division 3 people in important positions, just because they have godfathers, just because they come from a particular part of the country. This is a country where a boy from Anambra will score over 300 in JAMB examination. He will not get admission. Somebody will score 100 from Kebbi State. He will enter university. And then before you know it, he will end up as a permanent secretary or as a Supreme Court judge.
Right, all right.
No, that kind of thing does not augur well for national development. This is the question. We have to return to that conversation when we merit matter in Nigeria.
Well said. We are appealing for meritocracy. Meritocracy, really. Shall we head over to Anambra State now, highlighting this amateur video, which captures the deteriorating condition of Uwaka Bridge in Nnewi. The eyewitness in the video is calling on the governor of the state, Charles Chukwuma Soludo, to urgently intervene, especially with the onset of the rainy season. Let's take a look.
Governor Soludo, Your Excellency, the community is completely cut off. Every caterpillar ever, a very slow walk. Now, this time around, the villagers are cut off. The community is cut off from their access roads. This place is completely cut off. Nothing is happening here. More water is still coming. Look at it.
I thought I should highlight this video for the governor. I mean, raining season is coming, and we did highlight that, they've mentioned a couple of states that are flood prone. Meanwhile, the governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, has reiterated his commitment to clamping down on those promoting get-rich-quick charms, renewing his stance on the ban of native doctors, speaking while addressing a group of All Progressives Congress members on Wednesday. The governor narrated how 23 indigents of the state are now on death row in Indonesia due to drug-related offenses. He claimed that the arrest was connected to native doctors' deceptive practices. Dr. Abati, you weren't here when we discussed this native doctor ban in Anambra State, and that's why I brought it back, really. I mean, you can hear Charles Chukwuma Soludo here saying that 23 people in Indonesia are, on death row, and saying that, these people will bring charms, and then when they bring these charms, they tell these drug peddlers that, you can go through the security without being noticed. What are your thoughts on the ban on, really quickly, native doctor charms, so we can take our good news report?
Let me start by congratulating Governor Soludo, who has been given the ticket for a second term on the platform of APGA, the dominant party in Anambra State.
APGA.
Yes, in the election that is coming up in November. Now, Governor Soludo, the basic point that he's making is about moral rearmament in this society. What he's saying is about this get-rich-quick mentality among young people, this instant gratification, episode that we have that is a problem to the development process in Nigeria. And he is saying that hard work pays. Voodooism does not pay. And he's saying that these native doctors are the ones who are promoting this idea. They call it okuite. I think it's okuite, money ritual. And that a lot of people in his environment, in Anambra State, maybe in the southeast, are going for okuite. They want to get rich quick. And he says, look, the kind of government that he wants to run is a government that emphasizes hard work and talent. And I think that that is a very important message. And it's also important that each time he makes this point, he says it's not against traditional religion. It's not about traditional. The Constitution allows the freedom of religion, freedom of belief. What is opposing is charlatanism.
Charlatanism, and I said that the last time.
Which Professor Wole Soyinka has already dramatized in the trials of Brother Jero. So many charlatans hiding under witchcraft, voodooism, magic, which is an offense, by the way, under the criminal code. And he's saying, live a very honest life. And I think in that regard, you cannot fortune. In fact, he was also talking about noise making. People going to the market, making noise in the name of religion. No. He says, live a decent life.
Well said.
And